Episode 10 is Jamie Akass. Jamie is a Murray and Banff district referee. I thought it would be a really unique perspective to get a referee on the podcast. Gives us a bit of a different outlook on things. Contrary to what you actually believe, not all referees in Scotland are Rangers fans. Some of them are actually Celtic fans as well. So Jamie speaks a bit about Celtic and Charlton, his two kind of boyhood teams. We also speak about kind of the current state of refereeing in Scotland and kind of a bit further more in Europe and things like that. Jamie's also had a long association with Elgin Boys Club, a league I'm associated with myself, and we kind of had a great time speaking about that. I hope you all enjoy the episode. We're on episode 10. I didn't think we'd make it to episode 10, but we've made it. We're in double digits. Good to keep the episodes rolling in. Episode 10, we have Jamie Akass. Jamie is a referee for Murray and Banff District.
Yeah, that'll be right. You've got that right.
Jamie has got a good association with Elgin Boys Club. Big Charlton fan, big Celtic fan, and I actually got to see Jamie ref in action last night, and I was quite impressed.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome, Jamie. How are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad. Yourself?
Yes, I'm great, mate. A couple of months ago we started speaking, and then I thought, fucking hell, that's a great angle to have on a referee, because you don't hear that side of it very often. I've started to hear more referees the last couple of months coming out in podcasts after they've retired. I really enjoy. There's quite a few under the cautious and things like that. They've got referees on them. Love them.
Mark Clattenburg seems to be very active at the moment, and it's been good to listen to and you hear his side of things. And maybe even Howard Webb's been doing a wee bit recently, I think. Mark
Clattenburg, he's been speaking a lot about the foreign referee situation as well, which is good to hear. You know how things are done in different countries and that. I'm going to start off with my usual question, Jamie, because it's my usual question and it's my favourite question, I think, on the podcast. And then we'll get back into a wee bit of reffing. How good a football player were you as a kid, Jamie?
I probably think this probably will tie in quite easily to later on, but not very great. Not very great. But when I was sort of between the ages of probably 5 and 11 until I moved to Lossy, I played competitive football, which is just, it's very different from up here. Me and my brother played for clubs at a very young age, and we played the whole way through. So it's almost like a team like Lossy United would have a full youth set up as well, and they would have age groups going from 18s down to, under 5s, under 6s maybe. But yeah, I started out with a team called Rustlers at 5 years old, and I think the seeds were sown pretty early on. Didn't get a lot of game time there, and it was brutal. Probably at 5, 6 years old, it's still very brutal. And I think it's what the FA in England are certainly trying to change, so everybody's more included. But it was 7-a-side, and we'd have a team of 7 starters that would start every week. Yep. And then there would be 14 people that would be rotated in 7s every week. So you were either team 1 or team 2, and I was in 1 week. And yeah, so you'd play every other week, and you'd maybe get 10 minutes out of the 40 you were playing for. I moved on from there, and I got an alright spell at a team called Belvedere, and played in green and white as well, which was nice. So I'll shock a lot of people from probably up here that listen to this that I actually played at left mid there, and I got a good spell at left mid, and I was doing all right. I was never, as I say, never the greatest of footballers, but I think...
You left-footed?
Yeah, I am left-footed, left-footed, so... the best football players in the world are left-footed, but it's not me. Yeah, I think confidence is huge in your ability to play football, and realizing that you can beat players, you're stronger than players, and that took a really long time. I moved to Scotland, but sort of in the sort of last couple of years between London and Lossy, I probably put on a bit of weight at 10, 11 years old and never really shifted it until I started my refereeing last year again. And yeah, there was a school team. I didn't really play that often, couldn't be bothered with training, and just, I was never great from that point on. Whatever modicum of footballing skills I had went out the window. But I like a little game of football every now and then. I love football just as a sport. I love football, and I think...
You still do 5-a-sides and things?
We play the odd 5-a-side. I was playing with work recently, and again, the confidence thing, because slightly maybe older people or... experienced people with football. It's open to everyone. It's quite nice to be, the one that can score the goals or whatever. You have a bit of a laugh. It just, it's nicer when you can perform a little bit better. But five-a-side's good. It's always good to get a runabout, and was playing quite regular up until probably starting the refereeing. We've done 5s, 6s, 7s, probably in different variations at the centres, the Astros and what around Lossy and Elgin. So, if I have the time, I do like a little game of 5s, but currently, no time.
Yeah. No, that's, I like what you say about confidence there, Pierre. Like, I know Robbie listens to this podcast. I work under the Robbie Hope School of Coaching just now. I call it that because I'm learning pretty much everything I know from him just now. Mm-hmm. And it's all about confidence with the kids and learning how to beat a man and that ball mastery. If you can concentrate on that, you produce a good player. A good player always will improve a team. Doesn't matter what their skills are. If they're a good individuals, flair, skill, technical player, it improves the team.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember from last night, the left back, Harry.
Yes, I do, yeah.
He played the first season. I played at, coached at Boys League.
Okay.
Harry was our centre back, and there came a point that there was such a fantastic transition from him over the season that you see, especially at the intermediate level, that you can sort of get and mould them a little bit. And sort of, it happened with all of my defence that year. They were a little bit shy to get in an attack, like kids can be, and getting in about the football. And just say, come on, guys, we're stronger than that. You're stronger than him, so just stand your ground and you say to what? And then watching Harry last night, knowing that I was the first person to maybe see that big change in that team, and now seeing them at an older level and playing, I thought he had a really good game last night. He made some cracking tackles and stuff like that. I mean, he was up against a good opponent. He was a lot quicker than him, but he dealt with it really well.
He did.
So again, that links back into that confidence point. It's also fantastic to see these players come through that you've maybe had a hand in coaching, and you feel the Boys League's not. I know we're going to get onto Boys League in a bit, but it's nice. It's nice to have that input into football outside of just playing, I suppose.
For that 3 months, even though you've only got them for 3 months, the 3 months for that year is quite vital with them kids. It's probably the most competitive form of football there is around here for that age group. You coach youth football. I've seen you coaching ref in youth football, Jamie. At times that Boys League's more competitive than your city youth games, your Lossy youth games. And especially it's a lot better attended than these games as well. You've probably got crowds of sometimes up to 200 people watching these games, and it's a proper atmosphere at some of the games. No, I'm all for that. Right, well, let's get back on the reffing though. How did the reffing come about?
And like I said, I wasn't sure if this was the next question, so it links into number one because I love football, as I was saying. It's just grown up with football, so football's my sport. It's it's that sort of cliche term, but it's almost like a religion to people and a lot of men and women, and it's fantastic. I just love it. I love that buzz that football gives you. So I just wanted to be involved, however, and I would have been really young when I first had to go at the refereeing. So as soon as I was old enough at 16, went for that, and at the same time was coaching a school team, like a sort of second year team while I was in sixth year. Should never ever have been allowed, to be honest. But no, we tried that out. Me and then helped out Craig Smith.
Yes.
If you know Craig, helped him out with his side. So the first sort of formers of it, and from that I sort of just thought, no, I like the refereeing a bit more. We can give it a chance, but I was young, probably a bit big-headed that you think, I'm young, I'm going to make this because I'm young and all that sort of things, and just didn't help myself at all, didn't go to training, done everything that was probably just winding up the committee and everything like that. Yeah. I don't say winding them up, but not a person that, they would see that they could mould into the referee they wanted to be. But I think for a few years, I sort of kept it up on the side, I suppose. I went to uni and I was doing five-a-side refereeing at a five-a-side centre. Something just a bit of pocket money, I suppose, while you're at uni. And that was really quite serious. I got a punch in the back of the head one game, and I've been friendly chibbed there, and it was all, like if we were saying about Elgin Boys League, but that is some of the most serious football I've ever been involved with. even Highland League's not getting that serious, you know. Like, but yeah, there's players scrapping with each other, and I've tried separating him and his brother that I've just sent off, throwing the first punch. He's come back on and punched me in the head. It was carnage, and you know, it's you think about that. Why did Buddy do it? You know, but I think this second time round, it's got me fit. It's got me really fit. I've lost quite a bit of weight. I feel really good for going to training and just running about and being a bit fitter. It's a really good the whole family that Murray and Banff has turned out to be. A big group chat. We're all quite close, I would say. You know, we're out with each other every weekend, but you know, it's a good family atmosphere in there now. And they've really looked out for me. I've had a tough couple of years, and the referees really, especially, were fantastic in helping me out and get me back on the straight and narrow, I suppose, and sort my head out through everything that was available through the SFA and through just being there for years. And
that's what you need, mate.
And that's what I would preach on to people. It becomes more than just a game of football. When you can go to these social events, we had a big Christmas night out and all of that. So you get a really good sort of camaraderie out of it. You get fit. You get to be involved in football.
Yeah.
I think referees really see the game quite differently to how players view it.
Okay.
And that's not a bad thing. Players are focused on winning the game, whereas referees just view it in the eyes of what's going to kick off here. Let's say what's going to kick off, but what's going to unfold in this game and how am I going to manage it? And we're constantly thinking about the laws and when we need to enforce them. Players that need advised on what the law might be. You know, players, let's be honest, players probably don't know much of the laws, and I'm not being, don't hold me to that, but yeah, that's what we're there for, I suppose, to advise and enforce the law when we need to.
Yeah. No, it's.
But yeah, it's just good. It's good for my mental stimulation most of the time.
Would you consider the strangest law in, not even in football, just something that fucking surprises you that you don't think should maybe be a law that is a strange law, Jamie? Or something that doesn't make sense to you.
Right, here's the one being a bonnet that I've got right now. I think certain laws can be very vague, and it leaves a lot up to interpretation. But it's maybe not the strangest law, but you know, with player safety, I would think that this law would be a little bit tighter than it is. I cannot get on board with these little shin pads at the moment. Like, even at that size, it's just, I don't know why you'd want to take that risk. And it's, from what I understand, it's just players do really push the boundaries of what they can achieve, to the point that it's just like, I got asked once when I turned up to a game of a welfare game, I ref, so what's the rule here? Have I got to put the same colour tape on my socks as the colour of the socks and that? And you do.
Yeah.
But you know, like, you're thinking, why am I being asked that question? If you know the answer is yes, just put the red tape on your red sock.
Yeah.
But yeah, these little shin pads that are coming around now, and all the law says is they've got to provide a reasonable degree of protection, and that in my eyes is wildly open ended, and I think I would really like to see that tightened up, because it's player safety at the end of the day. Here, if somebody comes flying in with 4-4 studs, your legs breaking anyway, but it's these other ones, you know, where studs are maybe scraping down and all those sort of tackles that wouldn't necessarily break the shin pads, but they're protecting like your nerves and everything like that in the leg. And yeah, it's a privilege to be able to play football and things like that, but you know, you've got to be able to
keep yourself safe.
Yeah, you don't want to be 40 years old and have problems walking. And if it just means you've got to wear slightly bigger shin pads, let's just do it.
I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, the shin pads used to go around my ankle before they'd done anything.
But yeah, this is the whole thing. That's where I'm wanting probably the most protection, is ankle protection as well. And I remember, you know Toby, don't you?
Yeah.
I remember us just playing down at the park. He'll like that little name check. Playing down at the park one day after school, and he's come in with a little slide tackle, but there's not much in it. I'm not going to say he's tried to kill me or anything. But, you know, because we're just down there and we're wearing our boots, but no shin guards, and he's just gone through my ankle and mistimed the ball. But I couldn't walk for about 3-4 days after that. My ankle's just swollen up. Ever since then, anytime I'm putting boots on, I'm putting shin guards on.
Yeah.
And that's apart from when I'm refereeing, but maybe sometimes we might need it.
My boys weren't that wild last night, mate. What's the key to being a good ref, Jamie? Can I tell you what I was impressed about last night, and I really, really enjoyed, and I've never seen it before from a referee, or maybe I've not listened that closely because I'm not concentrating on the game. Is you were complimenting guys on good tackles and things like that last night.
I would say good tackle. That isn't necessarily saying that is a good tackle.
Yeah.
It's to suggest that I don't want to entertain any shouts of it being a foul.
Yeah.
So I should maybe use the term clean tackle rather than the good tackle, but that is all I mean by that. But I mean, it is at the end of the day, there was a few challenges last night. They are, but I will make it clear that it could be misinterpreted if I was telling players, one side might get a bit annoyed if they're not putting in the correct challenges. So I understand that, and I want to be on the pitch, and so the key to being a good referee is you've got to try and have a good rapport with the players that are on the pitch. Okay. Don't go out making issues yourself before it's even started. I like to meet up and have a little chat with both managers and check equipment and things like that before we start, and have a little chat with the keeper. What colour you want today? And just sitting in on a little chat with players before we start. Here's a skill I'm probably still mastering a little bit. A good referee needs to keep calm and composed. I think that's probably the number one skill as a referee, and I'm getting there to a degree. I can still have my little moments. I'm not flawless at all. I really struggled with understanding that a player can be up here, but you've still got to be down here when you're dealing with them. It's going to make no use you coming straight up here. And I've learned that through the hard way, and having incidents with managers, players and whatnot, because it's just a shouting match. And they're really pissed off because at the end of the day, all that's happened is they get the yellow on a red card. Yeah. And I just look arrogant. So I think, being down to earth, calm and composed, a good knowledge of the laws, I think them three things are the key there. But fourth, you have mentioned it with sort of like good tackle, you've got to be vocal, because you could avoid so much by being vocal. You maybe see, this is a good one that a lot of referees will do, if not more. And so two players coming together, and that sort of one that everybody just goes, yep. A referee's just got to be looking at that and just go, careful, careful, careful. It doesn't always work, but a player's instantly thinking, right, take a bit off this straight away before we're not going to go diving in. And it's maybe subconscious to a point that they are careful with it. Yeah. You still get wild challenges everywhere, but that's one. And if you're vocal, they know what's going on throughout. They're not second guessing you, and they know that you're active as well. Yeah. So they know that nothing's going to get past you, hopefully, Everybody's going to make the wrong decision every now and then. Everybody does, but we're only human. My argument for this all the time is, here, look, you've missed 4 or 5 shots tonight. I've not said a single thing about any one of those. So don't you be moaning about this offside that's really borderline that I've just given.
Yeah. You know who he's fucking speaking about? My guys from my team last night.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think there was one offside in that whole game last night.
I think so. It was very...
for the amount of long balls in that there was, it's very surprising.
I think there was less of it in the second half. We screamed a bit at them at halftime for that long ball because we've been playing so good in training in the last couple of weeks. And then, as you say, it just went to shit in 45 seconds, I think it was, the first goal last night.
It was very quick.
So... onwards and upwards, as they say. What's your first memories of football, Jamie?
So probably already touched on one about sort of playing really quite early on. Remember getting a set of yellow Puma boots back from my mum and dad went on holiday, and that's what they bought me back, new yellow boots. I think it probably matched the Charlton away kit at the time. Okay. So my earliest memory of football will be my brother, going away to watch my brother every Sunday. He had a semi-successful side. I don't know if they ever actually won anything, but they got to quite a good cup final. Okay. Against a team called Dulwich Hamlet. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dulwich Hamlet.
I have, yeah. Play a lot of football manager, mate.
But it was a pretty unsavoury day, I think, in the end. I don't know the full details of it, but I think there was a lot of pretty nasty play from them, and they... used a lot of gamesmanship, shall we say, to get the result. So my brother, I think, was pretty gutted about that. It's on a video somewhere, a VHS. That's how long ago that was. But I remember going on a bus, like a double-decker bus. Obviously, with all the families and that, we went down to this place. God knows where it was. Somewhere in London. God knows. But I didn't win. I've got a really, really strange memory, and I've had this memory for, well, obviously since I was 3, but I think my dad took me to my first Charlton game when I was about 3. Is all I can remember from that game is sitting in the north stand and just being a little shit, throwing off. I had a packet of Rolos, and I was just lobbing them off the person in front of me, and just, I don't remember any of the game. But I remember getting my first. I remember going down to Charlton when it was like, right, actually, you're old enough now. We think you're gonna get a season ticket with me and Stuart, and you're gonna come with us to watch football. So, age 6, I think I was. Charlton had just been promoted into the playoffs to get into the Premier League for the first time. If nobody's ever seen that, it's dubbed as one of the best games Wembley's ever seen. It was 4-4. Wow. You're probably seeing the thing here.
Yeah.
So that was part 2 of Charlton versus Sunderland, 20 years on or whatever it was. But
am I right in thinking this is the Michael Gray penalty one?
Yeah, Michael Gray, Clive Mendonca, man from Sunderland, scores a hat-trick, and I think it's been a pretty tough 20, 25 years for him since. But yeah, I remember that playoff final and watching it on the telly. I remember the penalty shootout, but I was too young to go. And then they got relegated the next season. And so my first season at watching football was watching Charlton win Division 1 as it was at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a really good season. Still to this day, one of my favourite players ever. And I think purely, I mean, he's not in my 11, but there was a thought there for him. But a player that just makes me think of how it all started, a guy called Andy Hunt.
Okay. You'll have to explain. Jamie.
Yeah, so he's a Charlton Athletic striker. I'm unsure where they got him from. He was very short-lived at Charlton because he unfortunately developed ME, so he had to just give football up and sort of move to I believe sunny countries are good for people to get the energy levels up and things like that who've got that condition.
Yeah.
Correct me, people, if I'm wrong. But he scored, I think, 30 or 35 goals that season. He was just banging them in, and he had a song to go with it. It was just like, Andy Hunt, he plays up front. He's got a name like a fanny. And I used to love it. I used to absolutely love it. But I wouldn't have understood what he meant. I would have known fanny, but I wouldn't have understood the sort of whole reasoning, Hunt. You just can make it up yourself. He was my first real memory of Charlton and football in general. Is just pure striker. Scored a lot of goals. Yeah. Clive Mendonca was still there, but I think he had issues with hip, maybe. Okay. Clive was another one that retired really early. So
good player, really good player.
He was a good goal scorer.
Yeah.
So they were our 2 strikers, and then you got the likes of Scott Parker, a very young 17-year-old Scott Parker just breaking through. I remember at the time, and some sort of just cult people like Chris Powell's and that.
Got a big move to Chelsea, Scott Parker, through that, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, I mean, there'll be a big Scott Parker debate coming up, because I really struggled with Scott Parker, and I thought, no way, he has to be there. But I won't spoil anything. But yeah, so there's that. And I want to mention this as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the next question's coming up. I'd probably expect so.
It was, how did Charlton come about?
So so I think we've really touched on the Charlton thing. It's a very family based thing. I love this story. So supposedly when my dad first moved down to London, my uncle Francis, who's the reason that me and my brother are Celtic fans and my cousin is a Celtic fan. My dad's side of the family are very, very Rangers based. So I don't want to use too many terms or anything like that. Sitting here in my ref's outfit, so very Rangers based, and by all intents and purposes, I should probably be a Rangers fan.
Yeah,
and if it wasn't for Uncle Francis, we probably would be, me and my brother. So I'm quite happy for my Uncle Francis, shall we say? But anyway, I digress. He took my dad to the Rangers shop in London. I think they had at the time for his birthday, and he was like, "Look, I'll take you in here, Ron. You can get yourself a Rangers tie or whatever you want." And my dad apparently turned around and said to him, well, why would I want that? And he was like, well, no, because obviously the family's Rangers fans, you're a Rangers fans. And this must have taken a lot for my Uncle Francis to be able to go into the Rangers shop and, and he was like, well, no, I don't support Rangers. Charlton's my team. And I think that's a scene sown. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. From a young age from my dad, and he obviously went and watched Charlton from a young age back in the dire years, 60s, 70s, where not much had really happened. Charlton were good in the 30s and Charlton were good late 40s and 50s, early 50s. And apart from that, apart from our dabble into the Premier League for 6-7 seasons, we've not really done too much else. But yeah, he has seen all the nonsense of the 60s, the 70s, essentially what it's like just now to be a Charlton fan.
Yeah.
Just languishing in a poor division with a shit team.
No much hope.
Not much hope. I don't have any hope. We're really, really struggling at the moment. I've actually, speaking about Charlton, because I've had so much of a rush, I've not actually looked at a Charlton score yet today. We've had a case of losing in the 95th, 97th minute, 90th minute with loads of late losers of recent. But yeah, that's where Charlton comes about from. So my brother obviously was taken down to Charlton, would have started going. I don't know when Stuart would have started going. There was the whole thing in the 80s where Charlton were very close to going bust. We had to move out of the Valley mid-80s, I think 85 to 92. So I think Stuart would have got the later years of maybe Selhurst Park and maybe Upton Park. Charlton played for a season at Upton Park, 91 to 92.
Yep.
Or 90 to 91. But they moved back to the Valley. So yeah, I remember Stuart and my dad going out and that, and not really understanding why as a young kid, where do they go and why don't they go the whole year? And then
what's the age difference between you and Stuart?
So Stuart's 9 years older than me. Stuart's away to enjoy his 40th birthday next month. So yeah, so Stuart's a bit older than me. And then getting taken down to Charlton, obviously being in the Premier League. So that's just, I think that's where it just captured you. They built the stadium bigger.
Yeah.
You were seeing just fantastic players.
A fantastic manager, might I add.
Alan Curbishley was just... He's one of these rare creations. And the only person that's really done an Alan Curbishley in recent years, I think, is Sean Dyche. The job that Sean Dyche has done at Burnley, I think, is the only real comparable for Alan Curbishley.
I'd maybe go as far to say the early days of Eddie Howe at Bournemouth and things.
Eddie Howe was a very different thing. It was about being able, that ability to build the team in maybe League One or the Championship.
Yes.
And being able to keep yourself in the Premier League. By not even changing too much. There's a lot of the players we had in Division 1 that made it into the Premier League squad. Your Sean Newtons, your Graham Stewart, Steve Browns.
Yeah.
All these would have been Championship players at the time. They would have played the season before in the Premier League. But then I don't feel there was probably that much of a gap between the Premier League and Division 1 or the Championship as it is now.
Yeah.
They're both very competitive leagues, but I never hold out much hope for the teams that get promoted from the Championship the season after.
No, I agree with you there. It's always, I think, unless they're coming up and spending 80 million these days, they're always going to be relegation candidates. It doesn't matter who you are. But I think you look at teams like Luton and things like that now, and it just shows you don't have to spend that money. You don't have to spend the multi-millions to stay afloat. A couple of names I'm going to ask you about, Charlton, because I told you, I messaged you a few days ago, I had a funny story. Sean Bartlett was like one of my greatest ever football, not even football manager, Championship manager players back in the day. Absolutely loved Sean Bartlett. I don't know what it was about him. He was just fantastic.
Sean had 3 or 4, maybe even 5 strikers that, from as far as I can remember, they tended to play them on a sort of rotation basis. But Sean would always play. And there's one memory I've got. He won goal of the season for this, but we played Leicester. I think we probably won the game 2-1. I'm not totally certain on that. But you see it now. You can go and look this up. It's a cracking goal. The ball gets punted up to him, and it sort of just drops over his shoulder. He's at the corner of the, I can't say 18-yard box. I'm going to have to say penalty area here to be correct. So the edge of the penalty area, left-hand side, it drops over his shoulder, and he just pings the thing. And it's a cracking goal. Yeah. So, that's the memory I've got of Sean Bartlett right there. And that whole sort of early 2000s period, we had Jason Yeo was another one. and Matt Svensson. They were our three strikers, and obviously I'm missing the other big name here, ex-Rangers player, Jonathan Johansson.
Yeah, Johansson. Well, the reason I kind of went to Charlton was Di Canio went there. I was a big Di Canio fan. My earliest football memory is Di Canio in a bumblebee top for Celtic. That's my earliest football memory. So I kind of followed them around there. But I've written down some of the names that I enjoyed. Dennis Romadal.
I used to like Dennis Romadal, but this is the sort of transition period for me. So I remember Dennis Romadal as a sort of period. He's a lossy player for me, if that makes sense. I remember being there, and then there's the lossy team while I'm in Scotland. And
okay.
So Dennis Romadal, I remember seeing him. Me and my dad went to Bolton on the way up to move into Lossy. Sort of done it in 2 stages. It was like, right, we'll go see the Bolton game, and then we'll stop off somewhere in the Lake District for sleep overnight, and then go to Lossy next day. Got absolutely pumped, but he was the first time I'd seen Dennis Romadal, and I used to really like him as a player. He used to be a good winger, but he was very hot and cold.
Yeah.
Very hot and cold
Yeah,
as a
I
player.
agree.
He could have a very bad game, or he could do some...
He was either howling or he was either on goal of the season for match of the day. You know, he very hit or miss. The other one was Matt Holland. I thought he was a brilliant player.
Matt Holland, got him from Ipswich, yeah. I've got a big thing about central midfielders and how... And I think it'll link on to, again, I keep saying this, but there's a question that I think you might have. I hope that's not spoiling things, by the way.
No, not at all.
But me
Not
knowing
at all.
that.
It's a mystery.
We could edit that out. It's fine. I've got a big thing for central midfielders. I feel they're a very, very undervalued position. And you very rarely, you're not getting... The last person that we've been really excited by in central midfield, pure central midfield, is Luka Modric. But Matt Holland, he's very pure central midfielder, done his job very well. Being in central midfield, to me, you're the engine of the team, and you've got to receive these balls and choose where to distribute them. Scott Brown was very good at these. Callum McGregor's very good at this. Yeah, there'll be lots of other people, but these are players I see every week, or did see every week doing it. It's just these it might only be a 3-yard pass there, taking it back in, spreading it there. But it's such a crucial role because without that, you're not creating anything up the top.
No. It's your best mid. Well, you look, obviously he's playing a bit of a different role this season. We've talked about him before on here. Jude Bellingham, what he's doing this season. There's nobody else can do it like that.
Absolutely not.
He's phenomenal, the guy. But central midfielder to me is apart from a goal scorer and a decent goalie, it's the most important position in the field. Someone in that middle of that park is going to distribute the ball about. 100% agree. Loved Scott Brown. Love Callum McGregor. I think Callum McGregor done what Scott Brown does, but he does it better. Initially seen that live over the last couple of months at Celtic games, and that he's unbelievable. He's just non-stop.
They'd be my first name on a team sheet.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think, with Matt Holland, yes, he's the central midfielder other than Scott Parker, I can remember. And the season that we were doing really well, that duo was fantastic. Like they were creating so much between the two of them. But I remember signing him from Ipswich, and the only goal I can ever remember him scoring was a really crap goal against Birmingham City, I think, where the keeper tries to clear it out. It's all scrambled from a corner. Keeper tries to hoof it clear. It comes off his chest and goes in the net. Also, I just hit the boom there. But there you go. That's central midfielders all over for you. I can't remember a good goal he scored.
It kind of leads us into our next question. Well, though, what's your first Celtic memories?
I think this is what I was going to talk about earlier on. I've spoken a lot about Charlton, and it's been really good, actually, because I don't often speak a lot about Charlton, and it is conjuring up some really good memories for me. But a lot of people will always say, "Oh, you're two-team bastard" or whatever. It's a little bit worse than that. You had 2 teams. Celtic have lost this week, so you're supporting Charlton again. Vice versa. It is what it is. I've always supported both teams. People will try and claim, nah, I moved to Scotland and chose Celtic as my team. Earlier Celtic memories, I can remember being at my auntie's house, and my cousin Gary is a Celtic fan as well. He was married into the family, so just by chance, he's been married in and he's a Celtic fan. So another one to add to the collection for, start evening it out on that side of the family, I suppose. And being over there and we were watching a Hibs game. We lost 2-1, But I remember us scoring, and him almost put me like, it was an Artex ceiling. It was quite spiky, but he almost put me through the ceiling because I was on his shoulders, and we scored. He was like, yes, and that is 100% my earliest Celtic memory. But I've got good memories of the UEFA Cup final and watching it with my dad just in my living room down in London, and being just so gutted. Mate, so gutted and so cheated out of it.
You've just mirrored me, because that is my memory of that. I remember crying at the end of it, and my dad coming up and giving me a cuddle and things like that. And it was like, I always remember him saying, "You'll see Celtic in another final. I won't see that." And it's like, now 15, 20 years on, I'm like, nah, I'm not sure I will see Celtic in another final.
It's very frustrating in Europe, because it can be done. It's been shown it can be done. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it can be done. Whether you can win it or not is a different story. Thank God they didn't win it.
Ramsey, man.
Aye, the big marquee signing.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny, but and then obviously moving to Scotland, I was very into Celtic. I remember wearing.
Did you buy into Larson mania?
Yeah, I remember like Larson's last game and everything like that. I remember him Larson's Larson, isn't he? There's still, I wouldn't remember it at the time, but you think of Henrik Larsson, you think of the famous chip, that is sensational.
Yep. Dreadlocks.
And then I think when I think of Henrik Larsson, I think of first and last, but that's him in his prime, and then I think about him greeting when he's leaving Celtic, and it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. It's very emotional every time you think about it, but it's just such a raw talent.
Yep.
Very good goal scorer.
I got asked a very good question a couple of weeks ago, and see if you could give me an answer, being a Celtic fan, Jimmy. Can you think of a bad time with Henrik Larsson in green and white, apart from when he broke his leg?
No, I think that's the only it, isn't it, really? I think that's only it.
That's how good a memory he's got. There's not a bad time. Mm-hmm. It's only good times. Even the worst time, the 2003 final, he had the final of his life. He scored 2 fantastic goals. Mm-hmm. He was all over them. We got let down by Bobo Baldi in that final, and that's what cost us the game. Martin O'Neill, I've literally just done his audio book, and he said the same thing. We got let down by Bobo Baldi. We also got let down by Bobo Baldi in that league season as well. The last couple of games, he got sent off again. Do you think that's the last? Do you think that's how do I word this question? Is that the greatest the Celtic team will get?
Yes, I think it is. I think the time's gone now, and unless it's not just related to Celtic, it relates to Rangers, it relates to the rest of Scottish football. I think it's pretty damning when Derek Adams is coming in and his rant and review of Scottish football was. But the thing is, he's probably right.
Yeah,
he's probably right, and that's worrying. But because it's hard, nobody's going to want to come here. One, we've not got the money. Mm-hmm. It's all going to revolve around money at the end of the day. Without the SPFL being worth, it's worth like what, £2.5 million a season to the winner. It's
there's players in England getting paid more than that a month.
I know it's nothing for clubs like Celtic and Rangers. They have to. It's a horrible model. They have to try and be getting into Europe to try and balance their books essentially, because you've got high wage bills that's not covered by winning the league and winning cups and things like that. So I don't know what I've always thought is what Scottish football probably needs is you need a few more stronger teams. It wouldn't be a bad thing, I don't think, for teams to be bought over like Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts.
Yep.
There's. Sorry if you're a fan of any other SPFL team, but that gives you 6 teams, 5 teams there. Sorry.
How do you feel about there's talk of 2 18-team leagues being made in the SPFL?
I'm not up to date on this. So we're thinking we have.
You have the top end, which is an 18.
Mm-hmm. So instead of having 3 leagues,
3 leagues of 36.
4, sorry.
Yeah,
I've got you. Is that going to help?
They reckon it might help the development of the smaller clubs getting the bigger fixtures, because instead of playing teams in their own league, like Elgin would probably be playing the higher end League One or lower end Championship teams for the crowds. Mm-hmm. But that's the only thing, in my opinion, it benefits.
it's not benefiting the top teams whatsoever.
No.
We're always struggling. You know, players, I can't remember who says it, and it's just like, I love being outside. We're the best. I think it's maybe John Guidetti. He's like, we're the best of respect, playing at grounds like Ross County and yeah, wherever else. It's not what football players. You're thinking, you're coming up to a big club like Celtic or Rangers, and they're huge clubs. Yeah. Anybody that England says, oh, they're irrelevant, it's ridiculous. They're just either on a wind-up or they're clueless. And yeah, I know plenty of people that would claim that. Yeah. Oh, the bloody Arsenal Tottenham derby is bigger than Celtic and Rangers. Come and live in Scotland for a year and tell me that.
Yeah. Yeah, you know? It's not. Having just recently experienced my first one, and I said there wasn't any fans. It's different. It's absolutely different.
I remember even going to, I had a season ticket at Celtic for probably 3 or 4 years. About 18 to 22. I was in the section at one point.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a workout, like, you know, it's a workout. But, you know, on derby day, it's different. Everybody's so tense. But then when that goal goes in, and even big nights at Celtic Park, I remember the 3-3 against Inter Milan, and the roof almost came off when we got out from 2-0 down. And then Guidetti scoring at the end. It was just moments like that cannot be replicated elsewhere. You know, you've got to play these big teams for it to mean something. We don't, with the greatest respect, we don't want to play. We're not wanting to play Alloa twice a season.
Yeah, yeah.
So apology to Alloa fans, but, you know, somebody from League One or, you know, because that's where we're going to be at. We're sort of down to championship level here. We're going to get down to 6 teams in the championship, which could be anybody in the championship. It always works itself out.
Still got part-time clubs in the championship like Arbroath and things. You know, guys that are still going out and earning a wage and then turning up and playing their football at night, which for the second league in Scotland is quite ridiculous. Do you not think? Yeah, it is. But then I have to renege on that point a little bit, because watching Celtic against Bucky last weekend, I thought Bucky had a really good professional display. Yep. It's unfortunate that's the difference between a good team and a higher league team. But I thought Bucky really did put a good case out. They just made a few mistakes that these players at Celtic are very experienced. Yeah. Whereas at Bucky, again, it's the whole part-time thing, but they're good footballers. And I've always said, I don't ever believe there's a lot between sort of part-time or non-league footballers and the very best ones. Things happen in life that you can't commit all your time to football and things like that. So it doesn't work out how you want it to, but it can do. You know, the perfect story for that would be Jamie Vardy. You know, your standstill can happen. The other person as well that I think is probably more topical for up here, I think Joe Aribo comes from a non-league club. I think Charlton signed him from a non-league club. I'd have to go and double check that, but we should have a fact checker over the back here, you know, to check these things.
I was just going to ask there, though. I was going to ask, how much do you think this is down to money? And I don't just mean like transfer fees and the kind of obvious stuff like that, but I'm talking about like training facilities, clubs, and all this type of thing, right? Because it is obviously there's a disparity between the highest level and the low, well, not the lowest level, but you know what I mean, grassroots, I guess you would call it.
No, I agree. It's partly down to money because there's no funding like English TV. It's okay. There's no funding like English TV money. It's as simple as that. But I also think that there's not representatives from our game out there trying to sell it to anyone.
There's not. I read about this before, and I think it goes back. Did you remember when Scottish football was on BBC for like a season or two?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd read into this, and this was a few years ago, and supposedly Sky had offered us a deal, but you've got the whole thing in the SPFL, in which, well, in the SBL especially, the top league, they had the voting system, and to get anything through, it needs to be not unanimous, but it needs to be 11-1. Yeah. So it gives the power straight to Celtic and Rangers. And it was a fairly decent deal at the time for 2003, which were much more on par. You think of the 2003 season, we beat Blackburn and Liverpool in the UEFA Cup run. You know, so and we watching that game at the time, you were thinking we could beat them here. You know,
yeah, every chance.
Now we play Liverpool. I wouldn't even be confident as playing against Blackburn currently, like, you know, a championship team. It's really quite bad. But yeah, to answer your question, Ryan, I suppose it does come down to facilities a lot. teams are obviously trying to save money on certain things. We should never be allowing stuff like plastic pitches, artificial pitches in our top leagues. And it just, I think it does, a lot of it comes down to money, but where do we get the money from? We rejected that Sky deal, hoping we get a better one. And I think 5 or 6 years ago, we got offered a deal by Sky that was worth $1 million or $2 million under what we were offered at that point in time.
Yeah.
If we'd accepted that, we'd have been a lot further on. So Celtic and Rangers, I think, are the makers of their own downfall as well. But Scottish football's suffered as a whole for it. Mm-hmm. You think back in history, Scotland, not making a tournament in 20 years, it was pretty terrible in itself.
Shocking,
not having, but
yeah.
you think back to all the good Scottish footballers over time, your Dalglish's, Strachan's, Dennis Law. I'm sorry, I've just got a bit blank here, but all these players that are just fantastic, that are massive names in football.
Half your English Premier League in the 70s and 80s, your biggest names were the Scottish guys. Yeah. You look at I always go back to the managers, Ferguson, Walter Smith. You go back to, I can't remember if it's Paisley or Shankly, one of them Scottish. I think it's Shankly.
Shankly,
Yeah.
Bob Paisley doesn't sound like a Scottish name, though, to be fair.
It does, yeah. Jock Stein, got all these.
Do you know what's the Amazon Prime?
The Three Kings.
Yeah, that was a very good watch.
Really
Like, it's the only Celtic-based documentary thing out there. Even Rangers have got their own Amazon Prime show or Netflix show or whatever it is. And it's just like, to be honest, I wouldn't want to be seeing what's going on behind the scenes at Celtic at the moment. Like, Brendan coming in, sign me a player. No. Not happening.
Mind you, Rangers won the episode on the trophy room must have turned into a YouTube short, so it's all right.
On that subject, the greatest bit of any of that has got to be the OG series, Sunderland Till I Die. The very last episode ends with that, and Charlton scoring a goal in the 94th minute.
And it just goes all to shit, doesn't it? Yeah.
And that guy, that Charlie Methven guy that's involved in it,
The bit of a dickhead.
Yeah, he's now, I don't know if he's the chairman at Charlton, but he's just been part of the consortium that's brought us over, so God knows what we can expect there.
Oh, great. That's what you want. Okay, let's move it on a wee bit, Jamie. What kind of time are we talking, Ryan?
We're at just coming up to 50 minutes, mate.
Okay, that's fine.
So I've been waffling a wee bit, but he can do his magic with it all.
Who's your favourite player of all time?
I've been thinking about this question. And I don't know why I'm thinking about it so much. It's just a simple answer. It's Henrik Larsson. Yeah, we've sat here, I thought about it the other day, and I think I'm trying to overthink that question, but no, it's Henrik Larsson.
Just class. Class. There's no much other words for it. On top of that, who's your favourite current player?
I think this is where I was getting tripped up there. I think I was thinking this about a bit more. I think I have to delve into the Man City side.
Okay.
And I'm going to go. I think my favourite player currently is Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, beauty, man. Yeah.
I think he's just, I've just always quite liked him since he's been, obviously, it never worked for him at Chelsea or whatnot, but, since he's been at City.
Did you ever watch him in Germany?
Level. I think he was at Leverkusen.
Werder Bremen, I think it was.
Wolfsburg.
Wolfsburg, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah.
Corrected.
I always get, they're both W's and they're both green teams. I always get mixed up with them too.
Yeah, so to answer that, no, I probably didn't, because I've just tried to say he's from Leverkusen. But
for a season and a half, or it might have even just been a season, he ripped apart that German league. And he was doing that at, I think, 19 or 20. I could see then what a kind of player he was going to be. Mm-hmm. Episode 6, JP... Paget
was he?
He was on. Man United fan, had him in his 111.
Oh, fair enough.
So it just kind of shows how good the player is. What is he like about him?
I think he's slightly further forward. He's a central midfielder, essentially, that can score goals. So I think for me, that's the perfect package.
He plays like that. He's like a deep line 10 almost, isn't he? And he also plays in this like weird inside right position. It's a new thing in football, this midfielder that is, I don't know if you know much about like foreign tactics, not Jimmy, but it's like a forward Mazzala role. They call it a half winger, and I'm pretty sure that's Italian for half winger. But he's like the Mazzala would normally play further back, and the half winger would just drift out to the right. but he's almost like an inside forward that just stays in that inside position. And when you've got a player like Haaland in front of him, it's just fucking lethal. That like,
yeah, it's just. I love a player that sits just on the edge of the area, and you're able. They've just got that magic for that interplay and things like that. That's just you can notice it in certain teams when they're missing that player that just sits on the edge of the box. In good teams, especially that play good passing football, that are able to just take it and lay it off, little link up plays on top of being able to score fantastic goals, have the strength, have a bit of skill. It's a perfect package.
Oh, it's all you need, mate. And it complements that team so well as well. They haven't been the same without him this season. And you look at, I think it was last weekend he made his return, and I think he scored 5 minutes after coming onto the pitch.
I had him in my fantasy team, so I was quite pleased.
Same.
I seen he was back from injury. I was like, he's going in. He's going to go in because he could do better.
I doubted him as well. I thought he's not going to start the way Pep plays, and he didn't start. I thought, oh, well, got the points for him though, so I'll be
12 points.
I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with that. Okay, what would you consider the best kit ever made?
This is a tough question because I'm not really sure. There's a couple of really good Celtic kits. So you've mentioned already the Bumblebee, so that's a notable mention.
Yeah.
As horrendous as it is, that Ford People's kit I really quite like.
Another one.
You know,
it's the year I was born, 91.
Yeah. And I've got a real soft spot because I think it was probably the first football kit I ever owned. Scotland 98. It was like the tartan, dark tartan. I don't know if it was the home kit or not 98. It would be 96.
Yeah.
Sorry. 96. The sort of tartan, it was a bit purple and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love that kit. So
Euro
I think
96.
that's the Euro 96 Scotland kit is what I'm going for.
Quality fucking kit. I've got a story about that. I'll tell you off the podcast. I can't give away nothing. Can't give away nothing. No, a solid choice. People's Ford kit was a fucking honking kit, mate.
I don't know, I just like it. It is, it's horrendous, but it sticks out of your mind, doesn't it? And I don't know, I just quite liked it.
I'm a big. I liked the Celtic years when we had the small badge and tenants just above it, and it was just majority of the kit was hoops. I really like that.
That would have been the 125 year. I mean, the season we beat Barcelona.
It was, yeah. I remember Wanyama wearing that kit.
That's the first player that comes to mind with that kit. Is straight to Wanyama.
It's weird when you think of kits, you think of players, don't you? Okay, here's a bit of a controversial one, Jamie, and we can edit this out if you don't want to, but I thought I'd ask you. Have you ever made a high-profile mistake that you can admit to? Or not even high-profile, just one that you think, that was a mistake? I
think, I've definitely had mistakes, but when we're thinking high-profile, because I've never really been in charge of high-profile games, don't get me wrong, it might be the odd occasion, and it recently moved up onto Highland League lines. There might be the odd occasion I offer a wrong flag or a quick offside or something like that, but it's not really affecting the game.
Yeah.
That's most high profile, but you know, at the end of the day, the decision's gonna not so much offsides, but the referee will decide whether he's gonna take my flag for whatever I'm saying to him, Dada comes for a foul or anything like that.
Can he? This is something I don't know about referees. Can he overrule your flag?
Yeah, we're there to assist. He would be able to overrule our flag. Generally, he or she, you know, correct. They would be able to overrule it, but they're not likely to. You've had, you should be ideally bang in line with the second last defender as an assistant, so you've got the best view.
Yeah.
It would be silly for the referee unless he spotted something, a player that you've not seen or anything like that. But yeah, you can. The referee's got the final say on everything, on absolutely everything.
That's interesting. It's interesting.
Just come and check the cameras, mate. Just didn't want you freaking out when I get up.
Fine. What's the feeling like when you've blown for something and in reality you maybe don't know had a chance to watch back footage, or another person's come out and just you fucked up there? Is it a case of, right, okay, I need to get on with it, or is it a case of, fucked up there? Do you let that bother you?
You've got to not let it bother you. I don't know if you play golf at all, but it's the most like golf it comes to. You have a bad shot in golf, you've got to get that out of your head straight away. I'm by no way means, we spoke about the football at the start, I'm in no way means a good sports player. I'm just very uncoordinated, I think. And but yeah, golf, you've got to get rid of a bad shot instantly, otherwise it will linger. And referee is very much the same because it's quite mental as well as physical. You've got to be thinking all the time. You've got to be able to get rid of you knowing you've done it wrong. As long as the high profile mistake, I'm going to admit to. It's a bit of a funny story. This is not high profile, but I remember doing a community cup game many years ago. It had been when Robbie run the tournament, when it was its first inception, and was a very well run tournament. I'm not saying it's not now, but we know we were getting finals at Borough Briggs and everything like that, and it was a good experience. And I got on well with Robbie at the time. I was sorting out some referees and that for him, pretending I could do it all, like I said earlier on. But in reality, referees were probably not wanting to take me up on the offer to come and referee a community cup game on a Sunday, because there was an issue at the time with it being regulated by the SFA and all of that. But it was Lossy lads, Chicane Chris Cooper.
Yes,
his team plays for Holtman now. It was his team, and they were playing the Elgin Marbles, which is the sort of older team from Holtman, a lot of older guys. And Berto Miel, don't know if you know Berto, dad of Michael and Dave. Very good striker, actually. Yeah. Very good football player was Berto. But anyway, there was a goal kick being taken by the defender, and it just didn't cross my mind at all that the defender's taken it. The ball's been punted up. It's been headed straight back over the top to Berto. And when I've looked across the line, I've gone, he's miles off there. So he's then scored an absolute worldie of a goal. It's like on a half volley from what I remember, put in top bins just to hear me blowing a whistle, hand up going, that's offside. And I've looked down and I've seen the defender and I've just been like, shit. They were never going to win that game. But I think it's really tough that I never used to do this I sort of call it my first incarnation as a referee when it didn't really work out. Never used to accept I would be wrong and things like that. Mm-hmm. But you've got to be able to accept it. I don't mind telling players. Players would be, they tend to be a lot better with you when you go, look, it very possibly could have been a foul but I didn't get a great view of it, so I've just had to play on. There was that one last night that happened right behind my back. Yeah. And I was like, I've got no idea whether that's a foul or not. I think they just came together, really.
50-50 it was, yeah.
But, it's things like that. You can easily miss, but you can miss anything. Mm-hmm. The other one is, I had one last year, and I actually felt really, really bad about it. It was a youth game. It was under 14s. It was quite late on. It was Elgin versus somebody. I can't remember who it was, but it was an Inverness-based team, I seem to remember. But this kid's come flying in with this challenge, and he's really quite high. But from where I was I seen it a bit square. I thought he's gone in high, but he's not actually caught him there. Yeah. So I've already got the yellow card out and going, look, that is unacceptable, that tackle. It's a yellow card, and banged it up. Mm-hmm. I then went to deal with a player who's really quite hurt, it would seem. And I'm thinking, what's the crack here? And then I looked down and his knee was just split open from top to bottom. And it got quite caught up because the manager was going absolutely mental at me. And I understand that sort of passion. Yeah. But then I've also got a job to do there as well, and going, look, I know I've probably messed that up. Is what I'm going to go and do right now is I'm going to go and speak to their manager and ask for him to be removed from the pitch. I'm not going to send him off because I've already issued him the yellow card. That's the way I'm going to play it. Yep. Rightly or wrongly, you can... In a youth game of football, you're wanting to keep people... 11 versus 11 is my ideal goal. I don't want to be sending players off. It might change under 16, under 18 level because... that's where they need to learn their discipline. I think they can be a bit unruly. It's calmed down a lot, but this guy and the manager was going mental. So I actually had to take the assistant referee aside, the assistant manager of the team aside, and saying, look, I know I've messed up here. This is how we've corrected it. He's now off the pitch. You seem quite calm. He's not. It's unfortunate the way that he's acted. And this is where I was saying about not doing yourself any favours. I could have left that. But at the same point, I wasn't having him going, there's parents and everything. He's giving me a right dressing down in front of everybody that I'm like, look, I'm going to have to report him as well. If he just left me to deal with it, we could have come to a sensible way. But that was a mess. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the worst incident I've had worst call I've made because I knew instantly. But I think in the panic of it all, seeing a 14-year-old's knee cut open and a manager just shouting at you constantly and everything like that, you just panic a little bit and you're like, oh, right, okay, this is what we'll do. And it's maybe not correct. So that again links back into that point of you've got to keep calm and composed. You can have a good knowledge of the law, but you can get a bit muddled up. Overwhelmed is a perfect word. Yeah, things can get on top a little bit in games, and you do. I don't know if you noticed me last night. I do a lot of, because that was my first middle in maybe a month and a half. I was talking to myself a lot as well and just going, right, no, this is a bad position. Jamie, you need to be there. Talk yourself through the game.
Yeah.
And that helped me out a lot last night because I was even getting a little bit muddled up and thinking, no, this is getting a bit on top. There was the incident with your striker going through and goal. He'd taken the shot and then the keeper had sort of made contact with him.
Yeah.
And I had somebody down watching me last night. And I was thinking after that, the rest of the half, it goes back to that bad call, thinking, is that a penalty? Is that a penalty? No, I don't think so. The chance is gone. The chance is gone is my opinion of it. He's had his goal scoring opportunity and he's messed it up.
Yeah.
And he came off and he was like, oh, that was a bang on call. That was a bang on call you've made there. And I was like, oh, it's not too bad. And then just adjusted a few things positioning wise. And I found the second half so much easier. So you're constantly adjusting as well. And yeah, mistakes do happen.
Yeah.
Mistakes do happen.
That's it.
That's us at the hour 3 minutes mark, mate. Just to keep you informed.
No bother at all. No bother at all.
I'll try and cut down my answers a wee bit.
It's all right. It's good, Jimmy. It's really good. Ambitions as a referee. What level do you want to get to?
So I'm currently Cat 5, but as I said, on the Highland League assistant referees list, which you have to do is the first point in which you essentially enter the pyramid. So you start at 7, which is your probation. If you turn up to your training and you're engaging, you're getting involved in games, you'll be moved up to 5, and 5 is your sort of base level. Then you have to do your fitness test if you want to go to the Highland League, which is, I think this is the part of it I really struggle with. So I didn't really have much ambitions to get any higher than I currently was.
Yeah.
But now I'm there, I'm thinking, it's quite exciting being part of a Highland League game. It's a bit of it's more theatre than juniors, you know. Juniors is just, don't mean to, junior football up here.
It's a bit mad.
Is a bit mental and is the next stage up. I'm trying to be as nice as I can to juniors. It's essentially the next stage up from welfare football and amateur football. But you do get some fantastic teams and, you know, it's a good standard of football at the same time. You've got to be a good footballer to be playing junior football.
Yeah. So
I'm not taking anything away, but, you know, Highland League, you go into these bigger grounds like I was at Huntly today, and Huntly, they're fairly well attended. Teams like Nairn I've seen are fairly well attended, and you know, they're quite exciting. I've not had Bucky yet. That'll be an exciting one when I finally get a Bucky appointment through. But all these teams are fairly well supported, and there's more people there. You're in a little stadium as well, which is quite good with your floodlights coming down, and it's fun. I love a Wednesday night. I've always loved midweek football.
Yeah.
I think just it's that nostalgia of being able to stay up late. You know, like, well, it was tend to be West Ham we played on a bloody Tuesday or Wednesday night, and I've got some cracking memories of West Ham games. But yeah. So I would have said where I'm at, but I do want to push myself. I mean, I enjoy refereeing more than I probably do assistant, but I equally like them. But I tend to get more out of my refereeing. So I want to at least go to 4.
Yeah.
Which will mean I get to referee junior football after just... But ideally, I know people, we mentioned Kovic just there, and I know Kovic had said to me, he's like, just see where you get to, because he said, I was probably like you and had no ambition to get much higher than 5 or whatnot. I just thought I'd try it out as something to do, and then I just got hooked by it. I love it, and now he's into the SPFL.
Yeah.
So I don't have any ambitions of probably going as far as Kovic.
Mm-hmm. There's some good referees up here. Mm-hmm. I always look back to, is it Harry?
Harry Bruce.
Yeah.
I really like Harry. I was out with Harry on Wednesday night at Keith, and him and Kovic is who I would see as our best referees at Murray and Banff.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Harry's done quite a few high-profile games recently.
He had, I think,
Scottish Youth Cup final.
Scottish Youth Cup final. It wasn't last season, the season before that, I think. But yeah, that was, that's a fantastic game to have, because we have our 18s games on a Sunday up here. But again, they're Highland League 18s teams, so no disrespect, but they're not up to the same level that I think it was Rangers versus Hearts.
It was, yeah.
And it's quite a cool story as well with Rangers, having Cameron Campbell as their manager.
Yep.
I remember being sat in chemistry with Cameron and that. And I'm sure he was an Aberdeen fan, so I was just like, fair enough, you've gone for a good job, but like, that's tough for an Aberdeen fan.
Turncoat there, mate.
No, he's really cracked on in football as well. He always really had a good brain for football, I always thought, Cameron.
It's good to see the local guys doing well, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It really is, always. Okay, I'm going to wrap up our questions, Jamie, because I want to get onto some Boys League chat, and then I want to get onto your 11 and a wee bit about your memorabilia, buddy. Okay, I'll maybe risk that one, but I'm going to ask you, what's your favourite goal of all time?
I don't know which one of the 2 free kicks I'd pick. Obviously the second one. I went to Scotland versus England at Hampden Park.
Lee Griffiths'
second free kick.
We've talked about this game many times on this podcast.
I remember being in the beach bar that day, and there was a guy from a Stodlock. I don't know why he was through in Lossy. It seems a bit of a random one, didn't it? But he was a big Celtic fan, and this is before Lee Griffiths, and the first one went in right, so we're like buzzing, obviously, because like that game was kind of hit and miss up until like 75 minutes until it was Oxlade Chamberlain scored for them first or something like that. But,
yeah, he was right. He celebrated right in front of me. I've never seen my dad more angry than that at a football game.
Aye.
Yeah, honest.
So the first one went in, the place erupts and like tables and pints are going everywhere and all sorts. And I was speaking to the guy again, right? And they got the free kick again. I was like, imagine if it goes in again. He's like, this place is going to go like up in fire. But poor choice of words considering what happened to that place a few months later. But
oh dear.
As he was saying that, the free kick gets taken and it goes in again, and like the celebrations, I mean, it meant fuck all in the end, didn't it? Because like they equalised like the last kick of the game.
Who was it? Stuart Armstrong just punt it up. I'm sure it was Armstrong.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Harry Kane with it got the equaliser.
Clean the bloody ball up. But yeah, I think I said the exact same as you. It was just a weird feeling because you just lined it up, and I don't know if you get these sort of feelings of football, but you lined it up, and I was like, I fancy this. I remember looking at my dad. I was like, I fancy him to score this. He scored it, and I remember saying a very, very similar thing that you did, Ryan, when he lined up that second one. I think it was like, Dad, like if he scores this, the whole place is going to just erupt here. You've never seen anything like this at a football game, I can guarantee you. And it did, and the place was just going absolutely crazy, like. And I think I was very lucky at the time, over a period of 2-3 years, to see games that ended like absolutely spectacularly, and the atmosphere in the ground was just fantastic.
Yeah.
So the other one we'll speak about my memorabilia coming up, the playoff final, and just before that, just after that. Unsure on timings, but Celtic played Lazio. It's the only time I've been away with Celtic.
Is that the headstand from Incham?
Incham.
Yeah.
That was absolutely crazy. And I think it made it better because you're allowed to just drink in stadiums. Everybody's absolutely smashed. And
Belder, my episode 4, has done home and away Europe for years and years, and he says it's his best ever away trip was that Lazio one.
It was quality, like. It was just quality. Belder's something else. They're like, he's
all over the place.
He just gets about. Like, I've seen him playing in the odd Celtic Legends versus Rangers Legends last
playing
week.
In a Celtic versus Rangers
up against,
Legends.
I don't know. I didn't see the photos.
It's like Michael Moles and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I remember him saying it was hard trying to beat Marvin Andrews and Colin Hendry and stuff like that. Like, how have you done that, Belder?
He's some lad. Okay, Jamie. Let's round up your questions. What's your proudest moment in football so far? That can be a personal moment, that can be your team's moments.
That
can be I don't know, a memory you've got, something that
I don't know.
you hold strong.
This is a tough question because I would want to slip in something I've done personally in football. We're going to get on to Boys League, but I think the proudest I've ever felt in any sort of football thing, just personally for me, is it wouldn't have been. They're always very complimentary, the parents. Me and Craig found when we were doing our Boys League teams, but especially the season before last, we've seen a real confidence. Go back to the confidence thing, a real confidence change in a few boys, and we got some really, really lovely messages after the season ended, saying like, "You've improved my son's confidence so much. I can't thank you enough. He wants to come back next year now after not deciding." And it just went on and on and on. And I was just, to the point I was almost in tears at how overwhelming it was. And that, I think, is just knowing that you'd be able to facilitate a game of football for somebody. Because I know it's all I ever wanted when I was younger, was somebody to give me a chance at a game of football. And you can do that at Boys League. And I done that at Boys League. It doesn't matter if you were, you see, I played Boys League, and you'd go along with your mates that were all playing in the school team and whatnot, and you'd be on the sidelines. But again, I've got some cracking memories of Boys League.
Yeah, same here.
We only won the league in the first year I played in intermediates, but I scored a cracking volley, and everyone was like, "Where the hell's that come from?" Scored a few goals that season, so it was.
I'm sure I won a summer cup. I can't remember, but I'm sure I won like a summer cup. I was the same. I wasn't a guy who was starting. I was the guy on the bench who would come on and things like that, and just memories of being down there, and then getting a refresh out memories as an adult. The feeling doesn't really change too much.
It doesn't. It's unique.
Yeah.
Boys League's very special.
Yeah. You're probably, I'm kind of glad to get onto this, Jamie. Boys League, I'm the same as you. I got a lot of really nice, lovely messages from my parents last year. I get the kids coming up to me at the football now that I've coached before, and like, they always come and say hello. They will always make it a point to come and say, yeah, hello. And I've now found myself like, I will probably be going to players' games next year that are not in my team, but they've been in my team previously. I want to see how they're getting on. You know, it's that kind of special relationship. How did you get involved initially with the Boys League? Was it just a call out, or?
Yeah, I think I'd seen a post on Facebook, and I'd wanted to do a bit more coaching. I've always quite enjoyed coaching, as I said, on the school team when I was younger. And yeah, so that'd have been what? That was the season before COVID. So it'd have been 2019. So I got in touch with just the Facebook page, I think, and was just like, look, I'm thinking about coaching. And then I'd also seen Barry Jarvis was doing a bit of coaching as well. So I was speaking to him about it. Yeah. I know Barry. I don't know him fantastically well, but I know Barry from football throughout the days, and I get on fine with Barry, you know. We have a little chat every now and then. But yeah, it was decided that I'd join Barry and be his co-coach. And we had a really good season. We had a good squad that we should have got a bit more out of, but we just became really unlucky. Royals had a really good season that year. It was, you know, Jack and Steve, is it? From Royals, and it would have been seniors by last year. And I'm sure Jack Keith we're talking about.
Yes,
I always forget about the co-coach's name. I'm sure it's Steve McKenzie. I'm not totally certain, but it's his loon that was the striker. Honestly, one of the best strikers I've seen down at Boys League.
Can't.
I'm pretty certain he's called Aiden, but so shows we know Boys League well, doesn't it? But they took home the treble that year. I'm pretty certain, and we couldn't get past them. We got drawn against them in both semis, so we never even made it to final year of the cups. But I had a really good team that year, and I thought, yeah, we'll definitely do this again. COVID happened, we got back into it, and then I sort of turned up at an AGM, and it was Jack Keith, actually. They were sort of nominating roles for committee and that, and it was just like, this is how it was like, oh, we need an intermediate rep, but also somebody that's going to be the kit man. And Jack was just like, Jamie could do that. And I'm like, got nothing else on. So we've done that. And yeah, then it's sort of, you're heavily involved. You're getting invited to the committee meetings and things like that, which is really good in itself. But now that we're sort of, I'm guessing we're just on to Boys League now, so we can just go on. I think we're moving in the right direction with Boys League. I think Alan's doing a really good job in the transition we've maybe had previously. Tiger done a fantastic job as president. And it's unbelievable how much work these guys put into this. Considering Alan's doing his Forest Mechanics, Tiger does his Elgin City and that. How they've even got time to be president of the Boys League is crazy. You know, I would love to do nothing more than help Boys League out as much as I could, but I've unfortunately not going to have the time this season, so I'm gutted about this. Yeah, and I think there's been a small change over the last couple of seasons, which I would really like to help out in getting ironed out. A few, I suppose, discipline issues. Last season was fine, but the season before that was pretty wild. There was players, there was people just coming onto the pitch and whatnot, and for kids and that. And it's like, I remember a game where there was a fight erupted like right next to me, and I was just like, there's nothing I can do about this.
Yeah.
I've got no jurisdiction apart from phoning the chairman and hoping that police are going to come down. And then, to be fair, after that, there was a sort of police patrol on a Friday night. But yeah, Boys League always needs fresh members, young members, to throw in their thoughts about what needs to happen going forward. And it's been such a successfully run thing since the 60s.
Yeah,
you speak to anybody around here of a half decent age, they're going to have memories of Boys League.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's the only real way of playing football without being at a good enough level to play for one of the Highland League clubs at youth level or Elgin at youth level.
That's it.
So it's vitally important. I have a lot of ideas about how youth football should be run, but it's about facilitating it.
Yeah.
I would love there to be a league all year round.
Same.
Because Boys League, it could be very hectic. Playing the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can sometimes have 2 games. And that's where I really struggled last year. It's unfortunately why I can't take up this year, because that in amongst, if I'm going to go for the refereeing, which I am doing,
It's too much.
it's too much. You've maybe got a game Monday, Friday with your team, or you've got a game Wednesday with your team, and then you've definitely got welfare on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And then a Saturday, Sunday, you might have a game as well. Monday, you're back to Boys League, and you're never home.
No.
You're never home.
you're
And
not.
then taking on, I tried to help out with my role as the kit manager or kit man, whatever you want to call me, but dear God, Alan must have been doing his nut with me as the bloody kit manager, because it would have been very frustrating for him, because I would just found it very hard. It became very overwhelming. So as much as I really want to help out with putting back into a club that done so much for me, essentially gave me good memories and that, and you just want to be able to pass that on. And everything I was saying about Harry and stuff earlier on, and seeing these players grow older, and so you see them playing football, it makes you think about these sort of times. It's a fantastic club, but it needs help. There's been sadly a few things that have happened over the last couple of years. Mike Christie passing away.
That's the biggest one.
Is such a big loss to Boys League, and there was a massive hole last year that we managed to fill. But it's not the same without Mike.
No, it's not.
It just wasn't the same feeling, and it was lovely to have that sort of minutes recognition from Mike beforehand, and then the bench as well.
Yeah.
Sat down at Morriston now as well, because it's just, whenever I think of Mike, where his bench is, that's where I would picture Mike just on top of those steps and going, what's your score tonight then, boys?
Yeah. Who's your player for the night?
Yeah, who's your
And then towards the end, it was getting used to seeing that scooter kicking about. If you've seen the scooter, you knew he was somewhere.
And he'd still be putting bits of goals and corner flags on that away as well. He's just, people like that are irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
And like I say, Alan and Tiger, and here's somebody that completely flies under the radar whenever we talk about this, because he's never been president. He is now honorary president. But the things that Neil Fotheringham's done,
unbelievable.
The secretary's such an important role, because there's so much to do, but Neil's been dedicated to that club since, I think it's 2001, I think he said to me. So that's over 20 years.
Yep.
The role that these people do, putting into the community for nothing, is so selfless.
Give a shout out to Maggie as well.
Maggie last year was fantastic, because I think, to start with, Neil had the intention of retiring his role.
Yeah.
And he tried to, we said, do you want to do it, Jamie? And I thought of the struggles I was having as a sort of intermediate rep plus kit manager, and thought, I don't mind turning up to the meetings and having input on the big calls, because I quite like that. Not as a sort of, I can be in charge sort of way, but it's a chance to make a real difference in the club that way.
Yeah.
And there was a good committee laid down at the start of last year when Maggie came on board, and I think probably took up the role on the basis that she said, right, I'll do this as long as somebody helps me out. And unfortunately, she got caught in the trap as well. But by the end, she's doing a lot of the work, and Neil's still helping out as well. So really, to help the club out, they need somebody to step into that role. So, while I'm here, I'm going to make a shameless plea, because I know I cannot help this year. I'll be down to referee as much as I can. and support the club. Just come down on nights that I can to support. But please, if you're at all interested, just please get in touch
Fantastic
with the
club.
Elgin Boys. Just go on the Elgin Boys Club page and send them a message. They'll pick it up. Interested in... Here, I'd even make a call now. We tried to pilot this last year and it didn't really work. But, you know, any parents or volunteers that would even do a bit of refereeing and maybe intermediates or maybe even juniors. I know, Alan, you don't like referees at junior level, but, you know, if there was somebody available to do that, I think it would cut out a lot of... You're a junior manager, and I know what my brother's told me, and I know what I've seen.
I would like a referee. I know it's not the World Cup, but I would still like a referee. I even made a suggestion of... a man taking a half each.
It's what I had to operate in the intermediates because through no fault of our own, I tried to be the referee rep last year and coordinate the appointments. And see, when I was probably the season before that, Covis was doing it, and we had referees available. We had referees tripping over each other to come and do games at Boys League. Really, because it's a nice run out, and it's always in the summer, so it's just like, oh yeah, I'll go for a little runabout on the pitch afterwards. Nice night out, and then. Yeah, welfare just got massive losses. We were, you know, there was some weeks we're not. When it comes to welfare, it's a sort of middle ground of referees, if you like, is where I'm at. Is from here up to sort of Cat 4. Maybe some Cat 3s will help out, but your top referees, your Harrys and your Covises. I know Covis did do 1 or 2 games last year. He's not going to be available for welfare, so that's 2 referees out, and then you've got a select few. You're not going to use probably your really new referees. So yeah, you come from your Category 5 referees, and you've only got a certain bank of those.
Yeah,
and a lot of those are the people that come and help you out of Boys League.
Aye.
So when you're losing the people like, I think the season before, again, so we go back to that season, me and Stuart Garden were doing a lot of games, and we got rightly rewarded for it at the end of the season. We got both the finals, which was, you know, coming down to Boys League, we're not expecting to be paid. I'm certainly not. I know we did talk about it last year, but I'm certainly not expecting to be paid. And to get the final at Borough Briggs, one of the 2 of them, that was nice in itself.
Yeah, it is. And
I ended up with the senior final, and Stuart done the intermediates because we were just, he was in the seniors and I was in the intermediates, so we just done the opposites. It was good to have little linesmen. So even that as well, the chance for your son or daughter to be able to, now son or daughter as well, we've started, I think that was a very successful trial for girls, especially at my age level.
Okay.
Maggie's daughter was fantastic for us.
Yeah.
She was unbelievable. She was our top striker by an absolute country mile. And sorry, Cole, your sister was better than you.
Okay, no, that sums it up perfectly. But you're also, just a quick shout out, you're also always looking for referees through Banff and Murray District as well.
Yes, so if anybody is interested in refereeing, I think just going back on what I said, if you're looking for a hobby and you like football, come and give it a try. You'll be surprised when you take it for how much, it's enjoyable. On the whole, it's enjoyable. It can be testing at times, but on the whole, you people say, oh, I don't know how you do it, all the abuse. You don't listen to it half the time. Sometimes I do, and I get a little bit angry, but that's just me personally. But yeah, we're always looking for referees. We've just recruited a few, but with that short, and it's not even, I'm not even going to say it's a national shortage. It seems to be UEFA are putting out a thing, so it seems to be we're short of referees in Europe, definitely, if not even worldwide, because we get such a bad press. But it's not like that at all. Honestly, up here as well, you get, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. People are generally nice, as long as you're nice. And it's a good runabout, it's a good laugh. And here's the one thing I've not mentioned. You get a little bit of spare cash out of it.
Yeah.
So that's not the be-all and end-all. I'm loving the experience, but I also do like the little side earnings you get.
Quite right.
But yeah, it's been fantastic for me. It genuinely has changed my life in the last 2 years and helped me out. It's keeping me out from going to pubs and whatnot at weekends and things like that. And my life is transformed through refereeing. So I would recommend it to anybody.
Fantastic, Jimmy. So if anyone is, give Murray, am I right, Murray and District Referees on Facebook a shout.
Facebook, Murray and Banff. Yeah, so alternatively, hit me up on Facebook, or anybody that knows a referee, just hit them up and they'll be able to sort you out.
Okay.
I believe we've got a course, maybe April time.
Right, Jamie, I'm going to run through your 1 to 11, and then I'm just going to pick out a few names from it, mate. You gave me a 4-4-2. I liked it. You gave me traditional numbers, which I can go by. We've got Gigi Buffon, left, but I'll take it. KT's your right back and Carlos is your left back.
I was going to have it the other way round, but we should be having it that way round. Yeah. KT will play at right back. I just had to get them both on.
Okay. Virgil van Dijk, Patrick Bauer, Scott Parker in the middle with Scott Brown, David Beckham on the right, Aidan McGeady on the left, Larson and Henry up front. Right, first name I'm going to pick out there is Patrick Bauer.
Patrick Bauer, I think I was looking, he was the last player to go on that team sheet, and my whole team is based on not necessarily the best, it's just players that conjure up good memories for me at football.
Mm-hmm. That's what I want.
Patrick Bauer was the player that scrappily stabbed it in with the studs on his boot in Charlton's playoff final from a few years back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I suppose it's kind of best time to kind of speak about this.
So, yeah, we can have a look at this. This was actually a part of a birthday present for my 30th. Let
me just make sure I've seen that in frame. I'll go check the camera. 2 seconds.
My pal. We carry on talking about it while we're...
Yeah.
So from my pals, got this just through the post. I did have my ticket, but I've recently moved, so I think I chucked a lot of stuff out.
Yeah.
Why I chucked that out, I don't know. But so I thought I'd bring this along. So Patrick Bauer scores in the 90th... I think he scores after 93 minutes and 54 seconds, because there's a story where Lebo asked the assistant, like, well, how long's to go? And he's basically like, no, that's it. You've scored for 6 seconds left. We went 1-0 down. The ball gets played back to our goalkeeper, who does... I've done it before, but, it's me. Does that whole thing of lifts his leg up to sort of stop the ball, and it just goes under him. And it's horrendous. It happened after about 10 minutes in, and I was like, oh, no, this is not going to be our day. We quickly, within about 10, 15 minutes, we equalised. Joe Rebo's absolutely pivotal in this game, by the way. Okay. So, as much as he moved on to clubs I wouldn't necessarily support, to be diplomatic, I've still got a lot of time for Joe Rebo. But yeah, and then we score, I think it's Ben Parton, recently been at Ross County that scores the equaliser.
Oh, I know.
And then, Patrick Bauer pops up, last death of the game. You're thinking this is going extra time. We're thinking we're having a repeat of the 98 final, and we're going to go extra time and penalties, and I couldn't take it. But then, that was crazy. Again, like the Scotland game I was on about, and the Celtic Lazio game. This is the other game that goes up there. They're the holy trinity of footballs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that day out was fantastic. I'd waited my whole life to go to Wembley with my dad to watch Charlton, and it's unfortunate I'm not going to ever get that chance again after my dad unfortunately passed away. So it's a memory I hold very, very dearly to myself, and it's just, I'm so happy I got the chance. And it was an on-the-whim thing. I remember us going through in the semi-finals, and my dad was a bit like, should we go, should we don't go? And then we won a penalty shootout, and I was like, are we going? He was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it, we'll go. And thank God we did. It was a cracking day. My cousin was there, my Uncle Francis was there, so he comes in, he goes and watches Charlton as well. So yeah, there's not only just me and my brother that are Charlton and Celtic fans. There is at least 4 of us.
Yeah,
or 5 if you include yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I kind of ashamedly changed to Aston Villa in 2006 with Martin O'Neill. But
the two teams that don't really go together, I'm very surprised. I know half and half scarf things aren't a thing, but just because I had to have it, I was very surprised to find a Charlton and Celtic half and half scarf, which you usually find them, they would be probably red and blue, not red and green.
Yeah.
Very, very sympathetic towards Rangers, I suppose, a lot of Charlton fans rather than Celtic. Celtic are not very well liked in England for the obvious reasons. The obvious reasons, and but I'm not going to touch on that.
No, and I quite like what you said about your dad there. I recently went to the Celtic Hearts game. We got beat 2-0, but with my dad. My dad's just reached 70. He's getting a bit older in his life, and it's like, you can't replace them kind of memories, just things like that, and it's cracking, I quite like that. next person, we kind of talk about Scott Walker. David Beckham, mate. Is your hero growing up? Like,
I think just when I think about 90s football, I think we've got two players on there. We've got Beckham and Henry, and they're on there because I used to love Man United and Arsenal, who were the two formidable teams at the time, coming to the Valley. You knew you were probably getting beat 3-4-0, but it would just be fun to sit and watch these players.
Yeah.
But David Beckham, I think it's just David Beckham. I think that Englishness in me as well.
yeah.
You know, even though I'm going on about a Scotland-England game, I will support both teams until they play each other. Again, it's going to fuel the fire with this whole two clubs nonsense and everything like that. But that's just the way it is, and people need to learn to accept it.
He turned into Jamie Four Clubs.
But yeah, it was a privilege to come and see Beckham playing, and it's just the amount of free kicks. You know, his trademark sort of this pose as he's up approaching the ball is, and just. Yeah, I watched the David Beckham documentary and it just made me feel all... I've been thinking really a lot about the 90s recently. And yeah, he's the perfect 90s footballer. I could have maybe had anybody out of the class of 92. And you think about, your other players that would probably come close would be Scholes and Giggs. But no, Beckham's a cut above, really.
He is.
And it's just, as I say, there's a few players there that they are favourite players of all time, really, and Beckham would be up there.
The last one I'm going to touch on, just out your 11, is Kieran Tierney.
I think, but yeah, again, it's all down to memories, and I think he's the last player I can remember being at Celtic that's just so devout to Celtic, and he's obviously left, and I was never one that's going to grudge all these idiots that were just giving him abuse and that after he left. Look, he loves Celtic. Of course he does. Yeah. If Celtic was playing 150, 200 grand a week, yeah, fair enough. If Celtic was able to win Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues and all of that, fair enough.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic about things. He was always going to move on, but he's always a player I feel... I always say there's a few players that, they'll go away, but they'll always... I think Kieran's one that will come back. But yeah... Just watching him, and is a nice point in time, I think. We had a sort of bit of renaissance. It's when sort of Dial is going out and Brendan's coming in for the first time and that. And I think we had a really good little team then with the Invincibles team was just quality. And I remember KT being so crucial to that. And I just love him as we've got him at right back here, but I love him as a left back. We've slotted him in at right back because it's where he plays for Scotland. But I just wanted him and Roberto Carlos on the team. But I think I loved his passion for Celtic. It's just, you feel like he's one of you.
Oh, I get that.
Even still, like, it's nice to hear the stories of like Jurgen Klopp saying about Andy Robertson. He's like, there's two players I can never get away from a Celtic game, Andy Robertson and Virgil van Dijk. Like, I love hearing them sort of stories. Yeah. Because it's where you can relate to them. They're just like you. They love Celtic as much as you. Or whatever, and it's just being part of that club.
Have you seen the video recently of John McGinn as he's walking in the Aston Villa changing room in the training ground? They're asking all the players as they come in, what's the biggest club in the world? What's the biggest club in the world? And they're all going Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona. John McGinn will say Glasgow Celtic, and just keeps walking on like no fucks given. I love it. Okay, Jamie, that has been an absolute adventure, mate. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. It's been a real pleasure. Pleasure, no worries. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure.
As I say, I got a chance to see you in action last night, and I'm really glad I did, because it's given me a different outlook on what referees go through in a game a little bit. Speaking to you tonight, I've thought, you've opened my eyes up a little bit to the other side almost. I see it from a coach's point of view. You've seen it from a coach's point of view. The referee's never the good guy. Or hopefully this interview tonight has made you out to make a bit of the better guy. Yeah,
we're all human. We are all nice at the end of the day. A majority of us, I'm sure there will be some, I don't know any, but everybody I know is lovely. And we're there doing a job.
Yep.
We're not going to be well liked because we're the people that deny people things and send people off. We're never going to be well liked, but here, look, just a bit of humility and respect goes a long way. We're not there to be abused. We're not there to be shouted at and things like that. We're just being part of football because we love being part of football.
That's it, mate.
And without us, there's no game. So somebody's got to do it, I suppose.
That's
And
it.
I love it. I love it. There we go. But I love being a referee.
So before I get on your last question, mate, I just want to thank everyone for listening, watching, rating us. I think we're up to about 100 subscribers through all our platforms altogether now. Blackie's episode on Monday absolutely took off. We've had 300 odd people listen to that in the last week, which is fantastic. If you keep it going, give us that little 5-star. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. You can give us a wee thumbs up on YouTube. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. We'll continue episodes coming every 2 weeks for the next 26 weeks until our next Christmas break. Next up, we have Craig Christie coming in from the Northern Scotland journalist.
Decent, actually.
Yeah, he's a guy who knows a lot about local football. So, Jamie, I don't know if you've watched any of my episodes before. I always finish on the same question at the end. If there's a penalty to save your life, who takes the penalty?
I'm so glad you said this earlier on, this player. I'm choosing Paolo Di Canio.
Brilliant answer.
He does it against he Paneca's David Seaman. Before all this Pirlo nonsense of a few years back. Nah,
He was casual with it.
he was casual with it, and it was quality that day. He does it against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Paolo Di Canio's taking my penalty.
Great answer. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has, mate.
Just
Thank
before
you.
we go, mate, I'm just wanting to interject here. I know I've not said a lot through the episode with my whole razzmatazz of monitoring audio, but Jamie, you were on the Northeast Corner 2 years ago. I actually completely forgot about this before you were coming in tonight, and I'm just thinking if there's anyone that is like followed you over from there to here, first of all, they're going to be like, this room's a lot different, and you've had a major career change.
The music is still going. I think the last time when I'd done the Northeast Corner, I'd not done a gig in ages, but I did do a gig last
I
year.
know, I did see that down at Guidi's, was it?
Guidi's, so keep an eye out. That's still going this year. I'll do a couple of gigs as well. So yeah, man of many talents. Oh, some people say jack of all trades.
Do you want the random fact now that we're going to do it one a week?
Okay, so
Right.
I do want this random fact.
Motherwell have won a Copa del Rey. Good night.
Oh, what?
I'm not even joking. That is a legit thing. We could go into depth after we've switched the record button off.
Okay.
But let's just leave everyone to go research it.
Yeah, leave it on good night.